The background has now dried, and what I want to do with this is put a couple of pockets on either side. I'm going to use old book page for this. The book page I've got is not wide enough to go across the whole piece, so I'm going to have to do it in 2 pieces. I'm not going to make it flush with the bottom. I'm going to cut it I'll tear it at an angle, and I'll show you how I do that. So the first piece on this side, I'm just going to tear down this piece of paper, and instead of cutting it straight across the bottom, I'm going to actually tear it up a little bit. Just to give it a bit more interest. And just round the edge off. So that's going to sit there. And I'll glue it along here and along up to here, and that will make a pocket, but it's not your traditional squarish or rectangular type pocket. So I'm going to do one for the other side now. So I've already got an angle there. I'm going to start here and just angle that up. And get to the end, I'll just round it off like that. So that piece can then sit on that side, and I can glue down here and round to here, and I've got another pocket there. But it still looks like it's all part of a multimedia page. So the next step that I need to do before I glue those on is I need to put some gesso on these. My gessoed pieces of paper are now dry, but the stark white against this I don't really like, so I need to colour it up a bit. So I'm going to spray it with some clear water, and then I'm going to spray just a little bit of my brown spray, and with the clear water on the background, what's going to happen is it's going to be a lot lighter, so it won't turn out as dark as the background. So let's get on with that. So I've got some water here. Just going to spray it all over both pieces. Make sure that they're quite wet. And then I'm going to take my homemade spray and just spray a little on. Now that's a bit too much, so I'm going to go in with a cloth and I'm going to pick up some of that. A bit like that, and then I think if I've got some more water here, I'll just spray a bit more water on and let that run just a little bit, just to colour it a touch. Let me check the colour against this. I might just need a little touch of red on there. And I'm just going to mix that in with my finger. Don't want it too pink. Might need to go back in with a bit of that and rub that on so it's not quite so pink. Same on this side. Okay, a little bit more water. Mix that up so you can't see my finger marks. Run it a little bit. Run the excess off. Okay, I need to dry those and I'll be back. So these are now dry. They are not as dark as I had hoped, and they are a little bit on the pinky side. So I'm going to have a go at doing a bit of ink work on these just to darken them a little bit. I'm going to use the same ink that I plan to use around the edge, but I'm going to make it a little bit lighter by adding a bit of water to it. So I'm going to use my piece of acetate clamshell packaging, and I'm just going to drop a little bit of distress ink, and this is Walnut Stain from Ranger. I'm just going to put a couple of little drops on there. I'm going to spray it with water. Move it around a little bit to mix. Got some nice brownish sort of blobs on there, and I'll just print onto this. Move that around. So now I'm going to stain my fingers now, aren't I? And we'll see how that works. Just move some of that around. A little bit more on there. Okay, let's dry that and see if the colours come up a bit better. The ink's now dry, but it's gone a purpley colour. So I'm going to go over it again, this time with a tea dye ink. So I'm going to use the Distress ink from Ranger. This one's a lot more orangey. So I'll just move that away. Get my piece of acetate, dry it off a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on. Add just a little bit of water to it. And I'll turn it over and smooch it this time. Which isn't easy on little pieces of paper. We'll see how that goes. Not quite enough, I don't think. We have another go with that ink. A bit more on there. 2 squirts of water. And wipe that off. That looks like it might be coming up with the right sort of tone that I want. Does that one look? Put a bit more on that end. I think we might be getting there. Just use up what's left, wipe it around and see how we go now. It's still fairly pinky mauvey, but I've got the look that I wanted, that really grungy kind of look. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink the edges on these. And I'm using, it's still the Walnut Stain, but I've got it on a pad here. So everything has dried, and I'm now at the point where I want to decorate this particular page. I don't want to put too much up here because the intention is to put a large journal card there, and I want to put a tag in this side. So I'm just going to put this little piece of decoration on here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So this is just a cutout, a die cut, and I'm just going to slide it in there so it overhangs, but enough so that you can tuck things behind this. So I won't glue this bit down to here, I'm only going to adhere it just here and let this bit come free. And then I'll glue the rest of this down. Now here, what I've got are some hessian cutouts. So you need to stiffen the hessian, and I have a video on that, how to do that, and I'll link to that video below. So I've just traced around a die cut on this one, and then I sprayed it with dye, a bit of dye, and put a pearl in the middle. These are just freehand cutouts. If you're not good at freehanding, you can cut yourself a cardboard template and then use that to draw around. You can draw on this hessian with a biro type pen, just your normal average cheap writing pen. I wouldn't use anything that is a texter type pen or a marker type pen because of the risk of it coming through, unless of course you've got a colored one and you want the edges to be colored, and then you could draw around it with a slightly thicker marker and then cut out and your stuff is already inked. Now this one's not inked, I just need to ink that one. And I'm using Walnut Stain by Ranger for this one. So it's, once you've done that, on this side, I'm not going to put any of this muslin. I'm just going to leave it as is, so it's slightly different. This one's got the muslin underneath. Now on this side, what I did, I was actually able to die cut this particular flower, and I've done the same thing. This one I sprayed with some gold aerosol paint, and then I put the pearl in the middle. I'm going to use these just here and here, or whichever way around I decide to do it. I'm going to back them with a little bit of this eco-dyed paper. So the first thing I'll need to do is just cut these out. Get rid of that. Okay, eco-dyed paper. How do you make this? I do have instructions on my blog. In this case, this paper has torn in the middle during the drying and dyeing and drying process, so I can't use it as a big piece, but it'll be nice to put these pieces on. So I'm just going to glue those on. In fact, I might just ink around the edges of these just to make them stand out a little bit first. On here. Do it again. Make sure I get the right edge. I've done that before, glued the wrong edge. I think we've all done that. And just up that side. Now I want to make that in a bit and up a bit on this page. Okay, there we go. I'll glue the back of this one. This is a linen look cardboard actually, so I don't know if you can see it on that side, it's got a slight linen texture. What do you think about inking the edges of this? And then I changed my mind. Then I said I wasn't going to ink part of that, didn't I? I wasn't going to glue part of that. And I've stuck glue all over it. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck that down in there. And I'll just bring it down a little bit because I did glue that bit that I said I wasn't going to. This is going to take some sticking because it's gluing onto the lace. Right. Now, I want that and my leaves. And I think I'm going to tuck that under there. Just pull it out a little bit. Okay. So here what I did was, you saw me pull a string off of the hessian that was already stiffened. I've just added a little glue to that just to keep it the twist together. I folded it in half and twisted over itself. And now I'm going to use that. You need to cut off the end. Cut that bit short. I am going to colour it just a little bit darker with the same ink. And now I'm going to tuck it under there and just add a little bit of glue to the back of it. And glue it onto that loose leaf for a little stem. And the little bit that's left, I'm going to do the same on this side. So I just put a tiny bit of glue there. This one needs to be even smaller. So cut that end off and just glue that little bit there. That blob of yuck off the end. Okay, take my weight off, and there are my 2 pockets. Now in the pockets I'm going to use these. These I made in a tutorial of, and I will link to the tutorial down below. So that one just slides in that way, takes up most of the page. As you can see, that's why I didn't decorate underneath it. And this one can just tuck in here. It could take another tag, which I could put there, but then I'm going to cover over a lot of this decoration here. It's just a matter of what you prefer. So I could just maybe just tuck it in there as well. So I've got 2 there. And I have a finished page. I've now folded the page in half so you can see what each page will look like separately when it's in the journal. So that's one side. And that is the other side. If you would like to see more of my wild adventures and experiments, including things that go terribly wrong, please click the subscribe link below.